gang. Get respect. You might have some cool fans, but mine are the best. We've been through it all, went to war when duty called. Never left a man behind, we move as one is super strong. I don't want followers, that implies I'm the leader. I'm not the captain, I just gave them something they can believe in. I hold the lamp in the darkness, but they're the light that I needed to see the road that we walk in between the angels and demons. And my fans have my back. Hate us if your feelings don't like facts. And my fans will fight back. Beat you with the keyboard you've been using to write back. I guess we need each other like both sides of the battery. We the army, we the homies, we the gang, we the cavalry. We're brothers and sisters, we hold it down like we gravity. Can't nobody break the bond that made us all family.
Me and my fans, we don't care what anybody say. Middle fingers to whoever in the way, man. Me and my fans, we gon' be together to the grave. It's a game till forever and a day, man. Me and my fans, we don't even trip in the hate. We got I don't give a fuck in our veins, man. Me and my fans,
We the hangover gang. Gang, 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 gang.
Oklahoma weather can dish out some of the worst punishment in the world. Hi everyone, I'm meteorologist Tuttle. But now you can fight back by installing Class 4 impact-resistant shingles from Ferguson Roof Systems. These shingles can withstand large hail, heavy rain, and hurricane-force winds, all while keeping your home safe and dry. And the best part? This upgrade is completely free for many homeowners. So call today to start reaping the benefits these Class 4 shingles bring, including a discount on home insurance. Only at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey there, meteorologist Tuttle back with you again. It is Thursday night. It's about 9:30, and we're talking about the latest on the upcoming snowstorm coming into we'll call it the Midwest, parts of the plains, and then hammering the East Coast. So will we get hammered here in Oklahoma? We'll see. And then, of course, will we get hammered in Arkansas? Again, we'll take a look at both states. Missouri also will throw you in there, too. I see you, Emmanuel, checking in from Tulsa. Good to see you, my brother. So thank you, Tricia, for the stars tonight. I see you already throwing them out there at me. Same thing for you, Beverly and Maurice. Appreciate that. Let's go to YouTube here real quick and see if my usuals are signed on. And they are. So good to see you guys there on YouTube. So thanks for joining me. All right. So let me see. I think I've got everything set up. By the way, if you are on Facebook, I'm going to go ahead and post my link again. I do this pretty much every broadcast that I can remember. And if you click the link that I post here in the comments section, you can get notifications directly from me through your Facebook Messenger when I do go live. This is for those of you folks that aren't getting the live notifications through Facebook. Conversely, use YouTube. It notifies you when I go live if you tap the bell. All right, so with all that business out of the way, let me close a couple things down and get on with it, shall we? Because that's what you're here for. Is it going to snow? So it's actually my favorite thing to forecast. Believe it or not. Now, there's no snow out there right now. It's 45 degrees, so we're not quite in snow territory. Although, technically, it can snow it in the mid-40s. Actually, I've even seen white little flakes, or I call it flakes, but little grains of snow, right around 50 if the air's dry enough. It's going to be very, very dry out there. But it's cloudy out there, at least partly cloudy here. And clouds are going to increase here for our Friday and Saturday. So keep that in mind that the beautiful weather really was today and not so much as we head from tomorrow on into Saturday. So this was the pick of the litter. Tomorrow won't be terrible. It'll be pretty decent, but not like today. All right, well, here's a look at the ground temperatures. So I want to show you the soil temperatures. Now, as a rule of thumb, if your soil temperatures are in the 30s, then you don't have a problem with melting snow. But if your soil temperatures are in the 40s, like we have, you are going to waste a lot of that snow in the melting phase of liquid. So what that means is that even though we might get some significant or accumulating snow for your area, it may not last very long, or at least some of the amounts will be reduced compared to what they, of course, actually fell from the sky. That's what makes snowfall forecasting so much more difficult, because it's not like it just stays in the form that it fell in. All right, it depends on some other things and factors that go on that cause it to melt and all that kind of stuff, and that makes it hard to get the final measurements on a ruler, which means when you see snowfall maps, it's always a grain of salt. It's a general rule of thumb, or it's a range for a reason, that kind of deal. Okay, so let's take a look here at the what I want to show you Yeah, one of the big stories, besides just the fact we'll see some snow here in the state, is the winds. We're going to have some northwest winds howling. These little areas in yellow is close to 50 miles per hour. These are gusts. So wind gusts across Kansas and Oklahoma and Texas, Missouri. Parts of Arkansas are going to be gusting anywhere from 40 to maybe 50 miles per hour. That is going to make the temperatures, which will probably be mostly in the 20s and some 30s, feel quite brutal. So we do take a look at the wind chill value, which is we factor in those winds with the temperatures. We're going to see what that feels like. Now, if we take a look at Friday afternoon, obviously it's no big deal. In Oklahoma, there's not a wind chill. We have temperatures in the 50s and 60s, but you can see the colder air up in Nebraska. Now, that cold air does quickly come southward. As I alluded to last night, the models would be too slow, and they were, and they've sped up now on the arrival of the cold air. So by Friday night around midnight, it's already pressing through. That's a 6-hour difference than what it had before. That's a big error that they had to overcome, but that's typical in the wintertime. So we do have to look at the, let's just go ahead and go to 6, 7 o'clock in the morning on Saturday. So these are wind chill values into the single digits up here across northern Oklahoma and into Kansas, below zero up at times north of that. It will be feeling like the teens when you head out the door Saturday morning, or if you're drinking your cup of joe. You're going to need to double that cup of joe, man, because it's going to be cold. Wind chill values in the single digits for the morning hours in many counties, and then we'll kind of rebound a little bit for the afternoon as those temperatures moderate some and some of the stronger winds die off just a bit, but still feeling quite cold. Wind chill values Saturday afternoon into the teens out east, and then rebounding a little into the 20s. So Saturday will not be a pleasant day. All right, so let's take a look at the upper levels of the atmosphere. This is where the jet stream pattern is. This is where our storm systems come from, and we watched one forming that came out of Canada, and it kind of combined with one that was coming in from the west. We had a big ridge here of high pressure. That's higher heights, we really call them. What that does is just steers the jet stream flow around that high in a clockwise fashion down into our neck of the woods. All right, so we then look for, let's see, is that what I want? Yeah, area of interest there, area of interest there. These little areas of color represent lift in the atmosphere. All right, so as they do, we call them upper level disturbances. All right, so there's one there and there's one there. And as they swing through, if you can have everything else come together with moisture and whatnot, you can get some precipitation in the form of some winter stuff. That can sometimes be ice, sometimes can be snow. So as we head into Friday night, you can see they start to kind of congeal, doing a little Fujiwawa effect here across the southern plains. We almost have a double barrel of lows that try to fight it out because you had two areas of interest that end up spiraling around one another because the way the pattern is changing quickly in a 24-hour time frame. But regardless, what happens is for us is that's good because it does mean that we kind of get this general trend of instability and lift in our atmosphere right over Oklahoma. So here's Saturday morning. The upper level low has now consolidated and closed off. The other one over here kind of died out and weakened out, so we'll discard that one. So we'll focus on the one that kind of takes shape, and that's over west central Oklahoma. Now, here's the keys we talked about last night. If you do want snow, you really want to be kind of east of the low. So that kind of puts the I-35 corridor, give or take, kind of the dividing line. West of there, don't expect a whole lot of snow. East of there, snow. And the more east you go, the more snow. And we'll tell you about that why here in a second. But needless to say, there's Saturday morning. So the upper level low is spinning right overhead, just where you want it. If it can get vertically stacked, we call it bombogenesis. Oh, it is a beautiful thing to see when it comes to snow. This system is not progged to do that, though. Unfortunately, it's going to stay more stacked and more of a vertical appendage here in the atmosphere, vertical look to it. I'll show you that here at another layer, but this is the 500 millibar layer. Hangs from the Red River on in northeast Texas on into Arkansas as we head into Saturday afternoon and evening, and that's where most of the lift is now kind of shunting toward, which means leaving Oklahoma as we go from the morning into the afternoon. Now, what happens, by the way, I'll just go ahead and just fast forward this through time just to show you. It does quickly move out of our area, and then it starts to head up toward the East Coast along the Appalachians, and this will just dump. I mean, there's all this purple. The amount of lift within this system is so ridiculous. They're probably talking feet of snow out there. All right, so here's a look at the, we'll call it the lower level lift in the atmosphere. It's 700 millibars. Now, If you really want the heavier snow, you need to be around the track of the center of this low. Now, the one I showed you was a big upper low, is the main storm system, but it goes vertically stacked downward. So let's see, if I were to kind of draw this for you. Oh, how would I do this? Should I do this? I was going to teach you some weather, but I'm like, happy we don't even care. You just want to know how much snow you get. So I'll tell you what, I'll save it here for the end. But regardless, this little area of the low is going to be in southeastern Kansas. Now remember, the main upper low we talked about was going to be out in this region, but the 700 millibar low, which you want to track for the heavier snow, for the snow lovers, you want to be around this low, okay? So let's see, we'll go into now, let's see, Saturday morning, it's over Tulsa, and then Saturday, let's like mid-morning to noon, it kind of repositions itself now in the western Arkansas. So it kind of goes from like this, and then kind of does one of these. So the track of this low is where you're going to find the heaviest snowfall, all right, for what it can do, what the system's capable of doing. Now, as the system gets east of Oklahoma, it starts to go gangbusters. So it can't do a whole lot here in Oklahoma, but what it can do, we're going to show you. But meanwhile, all this other colors you see is lifting the atmosphere. It's squeezing out all kinds of precipitation, especially across northern and eastern Arkansas. So we may be talking about some really good snow for you guys out there just east of Oklahoma. So how much snow are we talking about? I know this is $1 million question, right? Now, it's still early. You said, Aaron, early, it's a Saturday. Yeah, in the world of snowfall forecasting, this is still early. But regardless, this is what the latest is. And I love the European most of the time in the winter, so I'm going to go with it for right now. But it does have that nice swath we mentioned with the surface low of the 700 millibar low, tracking here across northeastern Oklahoma down into southern eastern Oklahoma. Now, if you remember last time, I mentioned there might be a spot here in the eastern county, somewhere on the eastern fifth, where we might see 3-4 inches of snow, and that's exactly what the European is saying. It actually went to 5 inches. Now, some of the skin may melt because of the warmer ground temperatures, but that's the signal that's been around and should stay around with the way the pattern is looking. So somewhere here in eastern Oklahoma is going to get a really good snow event. Now, models are struggling with the orographic conditions out here in Arkansas, and so there'll be parts where there's kind of feast or famine out there, but that seems to really love the northern areas of the state of Arkansas and the eastern areas of the state. And this purple area is up around a foot of snow, so it just kind of gives you an idea how it can really get carried away. So if you're in eastern Kansas, you go, this is nothing, you guys. You're like, yeah, we get snow every winter, big deal. We've still had snow on the ground in many areas. Missouri, you're probably kind of the same way, especially northern Missouri. So that's where your heavier snow is going to be, several inches to basically a foot once you head up to the state north of you. Okay, so that's kind of how the European looks. Just to kind of give you an idea, there's other models that we do look at. I'll show them to you real quick. This was the American model, which is a lot less than the European, but same idea as far as the overall, area we're talking about. The NAM model, it's goofy with snow sometimes, but again, that kind of shows the same general area. And the Canadian model, same kind of idea with the general area. This was actually a earlier run. I will show you the latest from both of these. And it increased a little bit in some of these areas, both in Arkansas and in Oklahoma. And then there's the NAM that, again, it's usually not a snow model, just because it has some other errors and bias issues. But the take home here that I want you to know for tonight is that the snow line is going to be something about like this for the event, as far as as far as Oklahoma is concerned. So we're not looking really anything out here in southwest Oklahoma. Maybe a flurry. That's the most I could promise you. Just the way the track is going. Otherwise, most of the action is going to be along the I-35 corridor and points to the east, with the potential for the higher band to reside somewhere like this. All right, just all depends on exact track of the low. So yes, that means Tulsa, you could be in a band where you might see 2 inches of snow. All right, so Oklahoma City, a half inch to an inch. This is just guessing right now based off the latest data, because that's all we have to go with. But the models seem to indicate that's a good approximation. So our very short-term model does produce about an inch of snow here in Oklahoma City, for an example. So at least that's going, in our direction. Also has a very cold day into the 20s, but we've kind of already talked about that. A very blustery day, wind gusts here around 50 miles per hour on this chart. I don't know if you can see this or not. These little numbers are pretty small, but it's just basically a miserable day. And then if we look at the European output itself, same idea. About an inch of snow here in Oklahoma City. So right now, that's the most I could see for us unless conditions change. And you're saying, well, what would have to change? The upper level low that's coming in pretty much on top of the Oklahoma City metro area would have to shift a lot farther to the west. And the 700 millibar low would have to kind of more juxtapose it where it's more vertically stacked. But anyway, so here's the temperatures. Saturday, obviously brutal day. Just ignore the 33. That may briefly try to get close to that. I doubt it. Late day, but it's more like a midnight temperature. Otherwise, we're in the 20s. Sunday's a brutal day too in the morning, but it does rebound a little bit for the afternoon. So we're back into the 40s, depending on how much snow you have as to how quickly temperatures rebound. And then we're back into the 50s and 60s briefly for Tuesday. Then we get cold again. And temperature's actually pretty seasonable, so nothing completely out of the ordinary. So there you go with that. Okay, so I'm going to do this real quick. Let me just show you what I was talking about, just so that you know. Let's see which map. Let's do this one. Okay. So let's go back to the 500 millibar chart. All right, so that's this guy right here, this little area that we're interested in. Now, this is picking up one slice of the atmosphere. So let's see how I want to do this. Let's do it this way. So we're going to do a vertical cross-section of the atmosphere, all right? So that low that I showed you, if I had to just pick a point, in the atmosphere, so we're looking at, like right here, this little midpoint here, vertically going up. So I put my little low right here. This is just for illustration purposes. Now that low can be all within the column. So if you draw a column straight down like this, something like that. So then you could have that low tracked at different layers, but it's consistent on the way up. Now that's what we call vertically stacked. That's what we call bombogenesis, basically. Which means there's a lot of momentum, a lot of energy confined into one tight column, so it just dumps. Now, if it's not like that, then which is usually the case, it's not like that. It's more more slanted. So if I were to pick a different layer, the low is here, the low is here, the low is here, all the way down to the surface. So there's different positions where that low would be. And earlier we talked about the one that was like around 700 millibars, for example, which would have been like this layer of the atmosphere right here. So just in a vertical standpoint, either it's going to be really slanted or it's going to be more up and down. So that's the oversimplistic look at what I was trying to show you on a two-dimensional map. So I don't know if that made any sense at all. I mean, you do stuff on the fly. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. But anyway, point being is if you want a lot of snow, you want to hear the term bombogenesis, and you want to hear the term vertically stacked, and that means you're going to get pummeled. All right, so real quick, couple of questions here on YouTube. By the way, just checking in you guys one more time. Good, Mean Okie, glad you got the notifications. Beverly's on it. Hit that like button. All right, so let me jump on to the Facebook here. By the way, you guys on Twitter, thanks for chiming in. I kind of took a break off of Twitter because they dumped the Periscope thing, but they kind of kept it going. But then they reduced the resolution, but then they brought it back. So I don't know what the heck Twitter's doing. So I took a break. I brought it back. We'll see if I keep it or not. But you can always watch on YouTube or Facebook if I disappear there again. All right, so let me scroll through some of the comments. I can only see so many. Let's see here. So Dolores in southeast Kansas is watching. Good to see you, Dolores. You can get a little bit of snow out of your area. Rick says, get on with it. It's got things to do, man. Casey's sending me some stars tonight. Thank you. Let's see, Jessica, same thing, in the house with some stars. And Janie, appreciate it. Teresa. Joni wants some snow. I hear it. I'm with you. Hey, Larry, good to see you. Haven't seen your name in a while. Of course, I haven't been on in a while, but that's kind of how that works. Ashley, what is your predictions for southern Kentucky? Lots of snow. That's where that system really starts to get cranking. I can take a look at a map here in a minute. Fuji, what? It's just a dance. It's just a little weather dance that happens. They usually use it. The terminology is used when two cyclones are doing a dance, like two hurricanes or tropical storms or depressions. That happens a lot on a large scale. It's like a pinwheel. It's like a partner. If you take a partner and you both hold hands, each hand, like on the ice, say for example, or you're just on the ground, you want to run in a circle and you're running, and then one person just basically slingshots you around, and then out you go. That's kind of what it is. Let's see. Ron, it's just I want to keep you on your toes. Jennifer's 50th birthday celebration in Tulsa. Woohoo! Congratulations. Do you cancel? Nah, just bring more champagne. Let's see, Adina, so dusting. Yeah, it's a skiff of snow is what Jody calls it, but a good solid inch isn't bad. I mean, we didn't even have an inch in the last storm. It was a skiff of snow here in central Oklahoma. It was enough to build a snowman about that tall, but it was really dry, so it really wasn't compactable. This will be more compactable snow. She'll be able, whatever snow you get, you will be able to put it to use. That's a good point to bring up. All right, so there's a Tennessee request. Joey, appreciate it. All right, Randall, good to see you. Okay, so we had 2 requests, Joey, Kentucky and Tennessee. So let's just knock that out real quick, and then I will turn you guys loose for the night, so I appreciate that. Nancy, I see you on YouTube typing in some stars. That's cute. All right, let me go to this guy here. All right. Ooh, that looks juicy. Now let me go to the Euro because that's what I like right now. And the Snowfall totals this far out. It usually has the best idea. Oh my goodness gracious. Okay, so like we talked about, parts of northern Arkansas and eastern Arkansas getting several inches of snow. And then once you just get out of Arkansas, it just goes nuts. So Tennessee, my goodness, there's over a foot of snow right dead center of Tennessee. I mean, the whole state's got stupid amounts of snow. So if you're in Tennessee, it's not like you have to worry about not getting snow. You're going to get it. Now, when you deal with the mountain terrains, you do have some sheltering, and so you're going to have some lower amounts in the certain areas. That always happens, depending on certain tracks of how that goes. So if you live in that area, you'll know from your local weather guys what happens, local influences. I won't know all of that because I don't live there, so I don't study that geography enough to know, but the models will hint at it with the output. But for Kentucky as well, crazy amounts up there, except for the northwestern part of the state. Let me do one thing for you. I'll zoom in even better so we can get some town names up here. Okay, so from Huntington, Pikeville, Somerset, Lexington, Fayette, Elizabethtown, Bowling Green, Louisville, just on the far fringe. It's a dusting or some flurries elsewhere here in Kentucky. And then, of course, in Tennessee, we're looking at really good stuff. Columbia takes the cake, looks like, with just outside toward Asheville is the next big number there. So if you guys live east, then there you go. Tara says, how's Oklahoma City to Dallas travel Saturday? So Edmund, there you go. I just posted the Tennessee maps. You should have your town names on there. So for all the driving, no, this isn't a big deal when it comes to snow here in Oklahoma. So if you're traveling around, that's not it. It'll be a windy's all get out, 2 hands on the steering wheel. But with a north wind, and if they're driving south on 35, it's not like they're going to get a crosswind. So they won't even know it, except the fact they'll make it there in about an hour instead of 3 hours. And if they're coming from Dallas in Oklahoma, going against that headwind, it may take them like 5 hours to get here. This is all true if you're driving a U-Haul. If you're not driving U-Haul in a lower profile vehicle, it really doesn't matter. Anyways, that's a little part of my moving story from Canada the other day. Okay, let me think. I believe that was it for me. We'll do another live tomorrow. I don't want to make any promises. You never overpromise and under-deliver. So I'll maybe one at lunchtime tomorrow if you're Friday. And then I may do one tomorrow evening. I'm not sure. We'll see what I got going on. I don't know yet. I got a busy day. And then we'll kind of see how that goes. But I don't anticipate any major changes other than the fact we're probably going to dusting to about an inch of snow here from central to eastern Oklahoma, with some areas picking up maybe 2 or 3 from around, say, Tulsa down to Fort Smith. There's gonna be a band somewhere that gets a little excited. So it's hard to tell where that exact band's gonna be, but somewhere in that vicinity. And this is all happening on Saturday. Okay, guys, be safe, drive safe if you're leaving town, and we'll do another update later. We'll talk soon. Have a good night. Sleep well. Thanks.